Okay, here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're here at Raley's One Market in Truckee, and I'm Chelsea with Raley's.
I'm Keely. I'm with the Tahoe Environmental Club.
Hi, I'm Ben, and I'm a president of the Truckee High School Enviroluton Club.
Hey, everybody. I'm Scott. I'm the store dietitian here at Raley's One Market.
Hello, I'm Sarah England, and I am with the Community Relations team with Raley's.
And I'm Mark Copain, the Director of Sustainability for Raley's. We're glad to have you here.
All right. So we'll start with the solar panels.
Yeah, the solar panels are up on the roof as part of the A-frame. If you look up, it's kind of hard to see with the glare, but they're up there working away.
And you can see the sun is right there. So the correct place for solar panels is facing south.
Yep.
Always.
Yeah.
All right.
And we wanted to do it on the roof as well, but the challenge on the flat roof, but the challenge was with the snow loads. We just couldn't find a way to do it and have it actually work effectively for us. So we did what we could here, and that's worked really well.
All right.
And Mark, is that enough energy to source all the time, or is this just supplemental to ensure?
It's just supplemental. Yeah.
Does it source energy or like hot water or what exactly?
It doesn't source anything specifically, just offsets the amount of energy that we draw from the grid. Yeah, it's a very small panel. So it does, I mean, most of our arrays are full roof, so it actually can completely offset electricity for a period of time at some more stores. This particular store, that's not the case though.
We do have some stores that exceed what's needed, and so we do end up selling that back onto the grid.
Yeah.
For some, like for our distribution center that's huge, that has a lot of rooftop. So it's a balance, based on the store size and the need.
Watch on in.
All right.
One of the first things we're going to see when we walk in is the new coolers that we're using. We got away from the Styrofoam and we're using a biodegradable cooler. So I think you guys will like it. So here's our biodegradable Styrofoam cooler replacement. It is both biodegradable and recyclable. So you see, got the lid, got the anyway, pretty cool.
All right. Way better than styrofoam.
Way better than styrofoam. And then we're going to go over here. We got a nice sustainability story about this specific store that we want you to know about. When we developed this property, there was a number of Jeffrey pine trees on the property, and we reclaimed almost all of them for use in this store and other Raley's locations. Here, they're used for some of our tables upstairs in the loft, but also if you come out here and take a look at the roof, we actually have wood paneling on the roof, which is all the Jeffrey pine that was here on the property. While we're looking up, though, we also have LED lighting. The LED lighting basically has a 75% reduction in energy use compared to fluorescent, and it also lasts 20 years as opposed to maybe a year or 2 years. So it's a much the labor involved is much less. The lighting is great, and energy usage is significantly low. So it's been a great solution for us.
All right.
Follow me to produce.
Okay.
So this store is very unique. It's one and only, as we've talked about before, with the acronym ONE, right? So that stands for Organics, Nutrition, and Education. So most of the organics, of course, you'll see also on the shelf, but if there's a huge concentration of organic offerings here in our produce department. So follow me over. You'll notice small things, of course, like a denotion here. We're sourcing organic whenever possible. So recognizing that not all products can be 100% organic, and or it might not be seasonal, or it might not be local. So where possible, we are sourcing organic. You'll see it here if we can follow me further on this wall. This is the largest concentration of organic products that we have at any of our locations. Getting more creative and thoughtful about less packaging in our produce offerings. And then if you are going to put it in a bag, you've got compostable bag options here at Raley's One Market. We know that this has been a residual conversation after California eliminated plastic bags as single use. So it's something that we're learning more of and that we're hoping people are using these responsibly. We're also in this department source local wherever possible. And so some of the work that we do is trying to make sure that we tell that story so that we recognize that we are trying to reduce our carbon footprint both in organic usage, how some of the farms are doing their labor, and reducing miles traveled to get it here to the store individually. Coming through here. Want to talk about these now?
Yeah. One of the things that we've done in all of our coolers now is we actually are using motion detection for our lighting. And that's allowed us to save 60% of the power we use for lighting in our cases. We also have very efficient refrigerants that we're using now, and we're moving toward natural refrigerants, which is the next thing that we're going to be doing as a company. You look down real quick, you'll notice that we have done a polished concrete floor. The great thing about these floors is they're low maintenance and they're good. They just need to be, taken care of every once in a while, like every 10 years, so you don't have to peel stuff off and throw it away. You just take care of it, just polish it up and keep going. So it's very, very ecologically friendly.
So any questions about organics?
How is the all of these separate items? Do they all come in their own individual plastic bags when they ship here, or is that all?
Like, are you referring to like the wall right here? No, so they would show up like in a cardboard box is how they would all come in, like unpackaged. Yeah.
You actually may be able to see some of them when we go to
Yeah, when we go to the back, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Yeah, good question.
Heather, I would love if you could repeat that
anything I'm
question
not here for he's our designated expert here.
Yep. Say that again, Elise.
I would love it if you could
Say that again.
repeat that question and answer, please, so we could hear it. So if Heather, you could.
Okay.
Our apologies.
So the question was, do the vegetables, when they're, do they come in individually packaged, or how do they come packaged? And the answer was?
The answer is that they come all in a box, so they would be like not individually packaged. So like the different greens and some of the cruciferous vegetables, all of them come in boxes as opposed to being like individually wrapped.
And we're gonna see that when we get into the back.
Yeah.
So, and that was a great question, Ben.
Any questions online around produce? Otherwise, we'll take you to meat and seafood.
Any other questions from the chat or anything?
I don't see anything in the chat quite yet, but yeah, just a reminder, anybody on Zoom, if you have a question, please direct it online. We have one asking from Ashley. Do you want to ask yours?
Yep. So the question is paper bags instead of plastic. So is the option to use paper bags, or is that question regarding when you purchase, or for the vegetables? Produce. Produce question. Could there
We
could
do
there
not
be?
have paper bags for produce. We just use the compostable bags here. For shopping bags, we do have ocean recovered plastic bags. So, which is a nice sustainability story too.
We had a paper offer.
Do we have papers?
And
Okay,
papers.
yeah, we do have paper too. Yeah.
Okay. So are we heading
Yep,
to meat?
let's head to meat.
Okay.
So as I started on our produce conversation being unique to our brand, our meat department is no different. This is also very unique. So we've put front and center, of course, our standards for both meat and seafood, front and center for our customers. Around seafood, this has been a really exciting accomplishment. We're 100% sustainable seafood. That means for every fish that we pull out of a fishery, we are putting one back into the ocean. It's also traced, so we can tell you where that fish came from. And we're making sure that, of course, our fishing partners are taking care of our marine waste. And then on our meat side, it's antibiotic-free, hormone-free, and nitrates-free, which is very important as we think about kind of, again, this overall health. You'll see, of course, all of our fresh offerings here with a denotion on what may be wild caught, maybe what might be in season. course, we always expect that you're going to have everything. So not always can you guarantee, but when possible, we're going to have gloves on. I wanted to take you down because I know there's a conversation on styrofoam and packaging. Eliminated styrofoam where possible, right? So these are items that we package here within our stores. So if you didn't buy it from a fresh counter, so you can see here, this is a different plastic versus the styrofoam tray with plastic. Coming down here. And in our meat department, we also made a significant shift to a plastic tray instead of styrofoam. This is a challenge that we do with on the regular. There is something about styrofoam that helps keep the coloration of the meat. And so this is a special kind of technology that they've been working on. But we do realize that we do have a shorter shelf life on plastic versus styrofoam. So if you see styrofoam at some of other locations, that's the challenge. But again, knowing the sustainability promise that we made here, we are making those changes. The understanding I have is it's both.
So the
I
question
see
was,
freshmen
does that have to do with freshness or just
Yeah,
color?
it's a quality issue more than anything. Because sometimes you think about, especially for particular plastics, it kind of bleeds into what you're eating. So there's a quality issue and the redness, which is fresh. We can't sell it, so I would argue that we're actually creating more food waste than making sure that you get a product in a reasonable time frame with an accurate Right, makes sense?
And I just noticed that like with the Beyond sausage ones, the package in like cardboard, would that be possible?
That's a great question.
So the question was that the Beyond Burgers are packaged in cardboard. And would it be possible to do
It's
cardboard?
going to depend on the product. So you'll notice these are sausages, so they have a casing around them. So the meat actually isn't touching the cardboard, where you'll see here they did do plastic when it came to their fresh product. I should say this is not totally meat, so it's a little different, but that would be the idea is you would get a lot of moisture from the meat in a cardboard. So that would be did you have a casing or something special to keep it? Yeah, fresh, right?
Okay, so there's a couple questions from the group.
Great.
One question is there any signage to educate customers that you can't compost the bioplastics here at Lake Tahoe?
Oh, that is a great
Something about
question.
that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not yet.
That could be a great suggestion.
Yeah, so
Opportunity for us.
yeah, it says unfortunately those compostable bags are not accepted at the local Truckee Composting Center.
Okay.
And so
We should look into that as well.
yes. And then the other question was, how are the fish harvested or caught?
I don't know that I know that answer.
They're either net or line caught. So it's really about the fishery itself being sustainable, not the methodology for how we catch it. But line caught is typically better and more humane way to catch them, and it actually leads to less species getting caught in the net. So that's our preferred, but not every species can be effectively caught that way. So, and one that just
And
Yes.
another question was, is the fish certified dolphin safe?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Now, another thing on the trays is we are constantly looking for new ways to package our product that are more sustainable. I'm actually in conversations right now with a new company based here in California that's looking at a compostable option that would work for the meat product. So if that works, you'll see it here and you'll see it in other Raley stores as well.
One thing I'll add, there was a question around paper products and produce. We do use paper behind the counter for all of our fresh meat and seafood. The initial wrapping, of course, just to keep all of the juices in, and it is wrapped in paper. So there is some paper use here in the back end.
Okay. So next we're going to go to the back of the house, the glamorous part of our operation.
All right.
Okay. This is our receiving dock. And if you look around, you'll see that we've got our compactor. We talked about the this compactor. basically a lot of our products will come in cardboard boxes, and so we will load this up in compact. So it's and then this all gets transported to our distribution center in West Sacramento, or actually in Thomas, where it's consolidated with the cardboard or the corrugated from all the other stores, and then sent out to the recycler. So all of this cardboard is being recycled. And we also are capturing all the plastic and making sure that gets consolidated as well and sent to recyclers, and that actually gets turned into Trex lumber for decks. So that's something that's it's a great use for plastic. But the industry itself is making a lot more effort in putting recyclables in packaging going forward. So that's going to continue to be a part of our packaging stories. The fact that we use more and more post-consumer recycled plastic. One more thing I want to show you back here is our food waste container, and part of what we do.
The food waste is outside. No, it's empty.
So it's
open
empty.
up the door to try to pull it up.
Okay, we can see a full thing.
Oh, so the food waste that we're going to is empty, so we're going outside to look at the one that's about to get picked up. To the right.
Okay, thank you. So there's basically, what happens, you can take a look here. Our food waste is from the produce department and from different departments within the store. And this food waste is all captured at the store level, consolidated like we do with the cardboard and the plastic, sent back to the DC. The trucks are already coming here to drop off food, so it's not a big deal for them to drive home with some things in the back. It's called the backhaul, and that food is consolidated at the distribution center, and then it's trucked over to UC Davis, where it is utilized as fuel, basically it's converted into fuel. It's converted into methane gas and used to power the generators at UC Davis to create electricity that runs the campus.
And that's the biodigester. Is there approximately this much waste once a day, or like this container? Will you stand next to it, Ben, so we can get a size?
You go through a week.
Maybe like 1.5 feet tall.
So one of the things that you guys might notice is some of the items have actual plastic still connected to it. You can see them. You see they're down there, Ben? Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is unique. Not every company that takes food waste would take all of that, right? 10 a week.
10 of these a week.
Yeah.
So we have about 10 of
there's
those
two
a week.
pieces of it, right? So there's one of which items can we give away to a food bank. So we do that. We capture as much of that as we possibly can. And then there's the stuff that goes in here. So usually you would say it's been molded, it's a cake that's out of code, etc. We have a partnership that their machines can handle all the plastic and all the packaging. And so this actually saves us time on labor, because if we had to open up every package, separate them, then sort them. So they make sure that everything that is plastic in here gets recycled and or reused. And then the rest of it goes in through their systems into the process that Mark outlined.
So anyway, let's go back inside.
Great. Any questions?
So this is just any type of like produce, and I noticed there's some flowers.
Yeah, we do
and stuff,
trims and culls is what's called from produce. Flowers, any flowers that are waste that are not going to be sellable. Meat, cake, bread. There's a lot. Anything that's food related, it can all be converted to methane gas by the biodigester. So it works really well. Yeah.
Because our standards are the same in both produce and food service, some of our produce items that are on the verge of going bad can get put into some food service items. You may see it in a salad, right? You may see, all the chopped up celery. It could have come from the produce department. We weed through kind of what's good and bad, and then put it into something else to be used.
Our first choice, though, is to try and get the food to people that consume it. We also have done some animal feed in the past in some locations, because the municipality requires that the food waste goes through them. That will go into become animal feed. So just depends on the store. And some, because we're in 35 different counties, something like that. Yeah, So we've got a lot of different municipalities, cities and counties that we deal with, so we've got to be adaptable. But we really, I think we've come up with a good program that allows us to capture most of the waste and effectively use it either by recycling or conversion. So
I'm gonna ask about how much cardboard or anything. Is this amount of cardboard kind of a regular?
Is that what was just compressed back there?
what's
the
that?
green thing? Is that what that?
Yes, that is a
Also-
finished bale. That bale is between 750 and 900 pounds, and we'll do probably 2, 3 of those a day. I think we'll probably about 15, like 15 to 20 a week. So depends on the store. Some stores it's more, but again, it's a really effective program because all of that gets reused, basically. Yeah.
Any other questions from the crew?
Food waste.
Food waste or
Recycling.
cardboard recycling? No? Okay.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
Mark, make a pit stop to show them the fresh produce and how it comes for Ben's question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm just gonna, while you're moving, just ask that,
Yeah.
I know we're getting into the last 5 to 7 minutes of the tour.
Road.
Yep.
Or squash, whatever. They typically come in cardboard boxes, and then they are put out.
Remember, some of this cardboard is there to ensure right, that it still comes. We hate to get a squished avocado. So much of that is, minimal as much as they can. Because again, cardboard can be expensive, so the producer doesn't want them. But again, it keeps the integrity of the fruits and vegetables.
Now we're running out of time. So
Yep.
Make sure we capture the next stop is the water bottle. But one more thing, in some cases we'll use what's called RPCs. Some vendors will do what's called a reusable plastic container and for produce. So that is an expensive program to set up, but it can be very effective once it's implemented fully. So some vendors are doing that. I'm not aware that we're doing it at this store, but with some of our conventional produce, that's happening. So let's go this way now. We've got the water
Yep.
bottle.
Water out. Pardon?
Yeah. So like new products that are coming in, like these oranges, the bags that we get, every now and then you'll see like where it's starting to rot or decompose right there.
Yep.
So in this case, we'll literally just pull the one bag orange and re-export that 5 pounds
Okay.
so that we can resell it.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're still out there. Still out there.
Here's an example of reusable plastic containers for bread.
Did you hear that? These are examples of reusable plastic containers for bread.
Yep. And I'm trying to describe, but loose notes.
They're for dairy.
And there's the dairy reusable plastic containers.
And here we are walking out to the water aisle. What's the first thing you see? Drink Tahoe tap. Gotta love it. These are our new
Right.
bottles. Anyway, we're pretty excited about this. It comes in 2 sizes now. We get the small one and the larger one. So, and obviously we got the stainless steel and the.
And you got aisle blades.
Yes, and a couple exciting things too, really quickly. Come June, this campaign will actually be in every single Raley's, Bel Air, or Nob Hill. These aisle blades that we see here are actually going to be up on the water bottle aisles themselves to educate folks that you don't need to buy single-use plastics. So we're pretty excited about that.
Right. Cool.
All right. Oh, do you guys have questions?
Do you have any questions?
I noticed. So I went to the Incline store and I noticed that the aisle cap from Incline store are mostly like smart waters. So would you transition those like single-use water bottles to this in other stores? And would it just be on
I
aisle
would say-
caps or would it be aisle?
Yeah, that's a very likely scenario. Yes.
So the question was that at the Incline store, most of the aisle blades were the smart water ones. And so we're talking about transitioning to these aisle blades that promote the Drink Tahoe Tap campaign.
At this point, the thought process is to do end caps that are water bottles. Yeah.
Great. So end caps that are water bottles will be the new. Yeah.
Our customers, all these great things that do. We can't do a tour just like this.
Yep.
So you'll see in certain stores, right? So here you go, we're talking about the energy efficient lighting that Mark talked about early on. And so you'll start to see those types of signs throughout your store. Again, it could be your incline store, other stores. So we start to tell that story and that commitment to sustainability.
Great.
What's next?
Walk down the water aisle. As you can see, we have multiple sizes for different customers' needs. Then when we get to the end, we have some more reusable water bottles. In this case, it's hydro bottles. That comes in various sizes. So again, we're trying to introduce the concept of reusable water bottles at the beginning and the end of the aisles for water bottles, just to plant the seed. There's another way to do this. So, yeah. Any?
So, obviously, this is like a really long aisle.
Yeah.
And there's a consumer demand for it. So would you say there's opportunity for change to like maybe start in the aisle or reduce the amount? Because like there's, I don't know, maybe 50 different brands of water bottles. 25. So does it say what's the opportunity there to reduce the amount?
Well, I think in this case, we actually have utilized part of the aisle for flavored waters. In some of our other stores, there's more volume in water bottles. And, you know, for us, when we put something on a shelf, it's because we believe we're going to sell it. So part of getting that shelf presence of water lower is by presenting alternatives to the consumer, and that takes a while. It's funny, but when I was your age, we didn't buy bottled water.
Yeah.
In fact, we kind of thought that was dumb. Why buy bottled water? We could just drink it out of the fountain. Right?
Yes. So the question was that the size of the aisle, that's quite long, and that maybe. So can you reword it? Do you mind just saying it louder?
So what would be the opportunity to maybe reduce the amount of brands or the amount of plastic, or maybe implement alternatives to that,
to break up the aisle itself?
You bring up, I think, a really good point. One of the other challenges that we deal with, of course, is that this aisle, as you can see, would also maybe potentially in a normal store had soda. We've made this conscious choice based on our quality standards here at Raley's One Market to not have soda. So some of it is just an alternate switch. Previous to all of this, we were actually transitioning we were shortening our soda aisles and adding more of the bubble waters, right, as to your point, to encourage it. So I think you bring up a really good point that we need to start considering. Also, how do we integrate this kind of stuff, right? This is special. This is actually the hottest spot in our stores, is what we call end caps, right? You see it differently than we see it. But what if we did carve out a shelf size and maybe had water bottles also in? And then I think too, how do we remind people right up here how great water is? How do we make sure that there's a faucet for people to fill it up so that they aren't grabbing the water bottle because they're here on vacation, and they also have an option and feel like they can get their water immediately, right? So I think it's an opportunity for sure, especially to merchandise and encourage, again, where we are encouraging guys to go to the store. To your point, right, when they make a decision.
I think it's important as a retailer for us to educate our customers before we make a big change, and so that's been part of our process, is educating customers on the alternatives that are available. So reusable water bottles are a huge alternative and really work well. So again, it's just one step at a time, but we're making incremental steps, educating our customers in the process. And I think creating a solution that, just like it was created incrementally initially, with water bottles not being part of our buying pattern, to becoming part of our buying pattern, we can do the same thing in the opposite. And I think it's about advocacy on the part of groups like yours that really care about the environment and want to make a difference. So I would say keep your message out, and talking about your message, and it'll catch on. And I think, especially for your peers. So yeah, very important.
Hey, Heather.
Yes.
Wondering if either Keely or Ben had any more questions that they wanted to ask here.
Did you have any more
I think I've
questions?
asked all my questions.
I was just that board up there, which is super cool.
The board?
Yeah.
Oh, the Raleys?
Yeah.
Yeah, their sustainability practices are up on the board right there. So, and then it actually also over here, I guess I can't zoom, but talking about nourishing our communities. So, well, thank you very much. That was great. Nice to meet everyone.
Yep, you're
So,
welcome. I think
all
we
right.
actually did pretty good timing wise, didn't we?
Yeah, how's our timing? Good? All right.
Okay.
So, thanks, you guys. We'll end with you guys. So,
All right. Well,
all right.
Thanks for coming, guys. We hope to see Enviroluton members next week at our Monday meeting. And thanks so much for coming. Bye.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.